After Israel closed its airspace last Friday due to the threat of Iranian missile attacks, over 6,000 Canadians were left unable to return home on their own. While many countries are scrambling to evacuate their citizens by land and sea, some Canadians say that they have been abandoned by their government and left to fend for themselves. Our correspondent Adam Zivo joined us in Jerusalem with more.
As of last week, approximately 40,000 tourists, including over 6,600 Canadians, were stranded in Israel after the country's airspace was closed amid escalating conflict with Iran. While many countries are currently evacuating their citizens, some Canadians say that their government's response has been shockingly lackluster. There are currently 3 ways to exit Israel. One can either cross southward into Egypt, escape eastward into Jordan, or take a boat to Cyprus. The Egyptian route is considered dangerous as it requires travelers to traverse the Sinai Peninsula, one of the most lawless places on Earth, to reach a commercial airport. The Cyprus route, in contrast, is relatively expensive, with tickets costing as much as $3,000 US. Therefore, the Jordanian route has quickly become the most popular option. Countries such as Poland, Greece, and the United States began evacuating their citizens early last week through the use of buses and military aircraft. However, Canada initially failed to provide similar support and only offered automated emails and generic safety information. The local embassy only began offering buses to Jordan last Friday, following a wave of media scrutiny. Last Tuesday, the news forum spoke with 2 Canadian hockey players who were, at the time, stranded in Tel Aviv. The interview was conducted before Canada began offering evacuation support, yet it captures the frustration of these initial days. Here's what they said.
The Canadian government's not really being clear with us on the embassy side of things. So we don't know when we're getting out of here. We don't know what real routes we have even to get out. None of the routes right now really seem safe. They don't give you anything to work with, really. They tell you, like, don't depend on the Canadian government to help you out of this situation.
We went to the Canadian embassy yesterday. They were closed. They were closed. The one guy who was there was an Israeli guy who just, our only assistance was he gave us a piece of paper and circled the email that we've been talking to since we got started with this whole thing. That was after they had said that they were going to be open from 10 to 2 that day. And we went for 10 a.m. so we could be the first guys there.
The Greek government, for example, the Greek embassy, they immediately, I contacted them right away, right off the bat, because I'm a dual citizen, Greek and Canadian. Right off the bat, I contacted the Greek embassy and they get back to me that night and they tell me, we're working on something, we'll let you know, but we are working on getting Greek citizens out of here. Canada, I haven't heard anything from, and I contacted Canada probably a day before I contacted Greece, and I still have not heard anything from them really, other than just don't rely on us and giving us routes that are completely unsafe.
But the craziest part was they said how to get through Egypt, and the first thing is to go through the Sinai Peninsula. What is like the death sentence, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna tell Canadians who probably are unaware, like I was unaware of what the Sinai Peninsula, how dangerous it was until I came here and talked to people from here, that finding out that that's just not an option. They're instructing Canadians to go through there.
Right away off the Greek embassy, I got a real reply from a real person working in the Greek embassy. They talked to me on the phone. They told me all the things, like everything. They explained everything in great detail. Canadian embassy has just been sending automated messages. Like it's like we're not even worth enough for them to message us or talk to us one-on-one. It's even if you send them an email, you're not getting a reply back from a real person. You're getting it from like a bot.
You know, people aren't able to rely on the government in a time when they do need to rely on the government. You know, that message saying you should not rely on us, that hit me hard because it was more just defeating, thinking, I grew up my whole life thinking, man, I can rely on Canada no matter what. Like, we're the best country in the world, and I still think we are.
The day after speaking with these young men, the news forum also conducted a phone interview with Michel Ferreri, a former member of parliament who was, at the time, in the process of escaping Israel through the Jordanian border. Here was her take on things.
There is no Canadian government response. Registered with the embassy, but all we've gotten is emails updating us to watch the news and download an app and seek shelter when there's sirens. And, you know, here's our phone number during regular business hours. I think it's insane. And I think It's, what more serious of an event needs to happen? This is literally one of the most historical wars of our time. And there's nothing in place. There's nothing happening. They had this same issue after October 7th. They didn't do a good job then. Why wasn't there something put in place to ensure if and when this ever happened again, that there was a fast, rapid response to evacuate Canadians?
While the Canadian government is now offering some evacuation services, the fact that these supports were rolled out so slowly and only following negative media attention raises serious questions about whether the country is adequately prepared to help its citizens abroad. Hopefully, the next international crisis will elicit a more fulsome response. I'm Adam Zivo, reporting from Jerusalem for the News Forum.